Hi, come up. Welcome to Fashion Neurosis, Hilton Als.
Well, thank you for having me.
Can you tell me what you're wearing today and why you chose these particular clothes?
Well, I've worked behind the camera for a number of years as a picture editor and fashion shoots, styling, and I realized that it would be good to have a white shirt for contrast with my skin, and then also a dark sweater in contrast with the white shirt. So that's there was some thought put into this.
And how about your jeans? Where are they from?
Oh, actually, the thing about these jeans is that I don't ever wear them. They were in the closet, and I have a favorite pair of jeans, but I couldn't find them, so this is what you get.
And you're a Pulitzer Prize winning writer and also a curator.
Yes.
And you're also one of the most exciting people to follow on Instagram. You make it so interesting.
Oh,
Do you enjoy the intensity of the short format?
I do. I think that, like many of us who grew up during the great age of magazines like ID and Mademoiselle,
Oh, yeah.
there was this great moment in the, I would say, the late 80s, early 90s, when there was a kind of cross-cultural exchange between British fashion editors and American fashion editors. So great people like Camilla Nickerson were coming over. And then there was a marvelous woman, I can't remember her name, but she was the fashion director of Mademoiselle under Gabby Doppelt when Gabby was the editor there. And so I think that what I've always been interested in is the event of fashion. I loved the finished pictures, but I actually love the company more. And I love the reality of making a little movie.
Yeah.
It was really like filmmaking to me. And so I don't work in fashion anymore, but I think you're right that it's an extension of the short form that I grew up loving in magazines, fashion magazines in particular, where writing was also important. There were great writers being published in Vogue and Mademoiselle and ID and Jane and all of those great places. So I've always just been very drawn to this idea of word and text being equal and also finite, that stories had a certain intensity and then they disappeared. Do you remember her name? She was she had white hair. Emma? Something?
From Mademoiselle.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I think you're too young.
I don't know. I think we're the same age.
No, but I think, well, you're younger in spirit. Emma something. But Gabby had all those great girls there.
Yeah.
You know? Camilla was such a force, and I was at Vibe magazine, and we would write fan letters to each other.
Oh my God, that's so great.
It's so at the beginning of a way of thinking and believing in images and text that I've never really gotten over, and I tried to do. So the Instagram really is such a convenient way of carrying on that tradition, because you can do anything, but you also have to kind of understand the emotional temperature of what you're doing. It's like having your own little magazine.
Yeah.
And so things that look as though they're sort of random juxtapositions, you begin to feel the emotional connection after a while. I like making people pause on Instagram and try to understand how they feel about the images and the text as opposed to me telling them how to feel.
Yeah, well, it's very effective and very evocative because there's a lot of tension in the posts you do, and
Yes.
a lot of intensity.
Yes.
And so they really resonate. Every time I see one, I feel like I'm getting an influx of something and a kind of like the beginning of the movie
Yes.
with all the setup, which is a real talent. I hate that word storytelling but it is. It's like, it's like the beginning of a thriller. It's
Yes.
great.
Well, it's sort of the principle of movie making that's fascinating, and now I guess we could say TV making, is that every story begins with a problem. And if you think about it, it's true. Something has to be solved. And I think that with Instagram, what I like very much is the stop and start of the story. That I present the problem and then I go on to the next problem.
That's so genius. It's exactly it.
Yes.
I love that. That's so good.
Yes. And I think also working at the New Yorker, you're working in a short form that's long. And I think I feel very much like Deanne Arbus, where she said that she didn't arrange the subject, that she arranged her body to suit the subject. And I feel that way as a writer
Yeah.
at the New Yorker, or whether it's Instagram or curating, that I'm reshaping my body to suit the subject. So whether it's writing this week about Robert Rauschenberg, I'm changing my body in order to understand Port Arthur, Texas, where he's from, the South, its influence. I take my own experience of those places to understand where he came from. So similarly, with Instagram, I've sometimes taken things down because they interrupt the flow, they don't contribute to it. And again, it's a sort of feeling. It's what Billie Holiday said about her music and the blues, that it was a mixed up thing that you have to feel.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that there's one straight way to do anything, to the great consternation of my editors everywhere. Because I think that the art of anything should be reflective of the life,
Yeah.
and that life doesn't take us down a narrow path to anything.
It's so interesting, your the feeling thing, because this mad idea that you either think or feel, as though you can't do them both at the same time, or you don't express your thoughts verbalize your feelings as if they're somehow kind of random rather than, I don't know, I hardly know what I'm talking about, except for everything you said makes complete sense.
Yes.
And the way you express it is, I suppose that's what's so enjoyable about reading you, is how all these things happen at once that you describe.
Yes, I think that it would be, I've enjoyed reading about you and your sister's novel, because I had a sister who passed, but when I read and saw Hideous Kinky, I was so moved by the mother figure, because my sister was always searching for something. She didn't go to Morocco, but I think that the interior life of that character meant a lot to me. And I think one of the things that meant a lot to me in terms of her search was that it wasn't just one thing. She didn't know how to be one thing. And I think children really want predictability
Yeah.
and they really want things to be the same. And yet at the same time, they know, I think children know even before adults, that things will be changing. They're changing
Yeah.
all the time. Interior self is changing. And I think I just never knew how to write or take a picture that didn't show that. I don't know why it was so for me, but it has always been so for me that it's never one thing. So I don't know how difficult this makes my personal relationships, but I think it makes me a very good friend because I know that you might have this feeling today, but that tomorrow might present something else because of events, because of a wound or someone kissing you in a nice way. It's going to change the atmosphere.
Because in your book, The Women, you say your mother avoided mentioning that she knew you wore her hosiery under your jeans when you were going out, when you were growing up. And you say you wanted to have her near you always. And you said, I wore my mother and sister's clothes when they were not at home. And I wondered, which clothes did you like wearing best?
Unfortunately, Bella Freud wasn't designing them. Everything would have been so good to slip under there. But I remember, in particular, it would be kind of hosiery, or it would be even just a little slip, a sort of undergarment. But they were always things that you could hide. So I only got brave enough to wear skirts and dresses in my late 20s. And I had a wonderful friend who made me a beautiful dress that I used to wear all the time.
Wow.
But I never felt, I think that I never felt gender specific about clothing. I always felt that my sisters and my mother, by example, were giving me permission to be an artist or to be queer or to be a humanist, ultimately, is what we're saying when we say we're feminist or queer. We're saying that we're humanist.
Yeah.
And so I think my siblings and my mother in particular gave me that by example. My mother was a very kind woman. My sisters were a little bit sharper edged. And I think watching them as a child gave me language because I was listening, but it also gave me a sense of how social life changes. Again, we're going back to this idea of changing and evolution. I really am grateful to them for not mentioning it, even if they knew.
Yeah.
Because then you're free to kind of invent, right? If you make clothing, I remember a Vogue story, a Bella Freud Vogue story that Camilla styled. And I was so moved by these young girls in ties and shirts. And I felt a level of identification with them that wouldn't have been possible if my family had said what I was doing was wrong.
Gosh. And do you ever...
I think that was that Jürgen Teller?
No, I think, was it, I think...
Was it Corinne?
I think it was, I'm trying to remember the photographer, because first of all it was shot by Michael Roberts, and then
Yes.
he painted all our hair silver, and Alex Schulman freaked out and made them reshoot it with another photographer.
Yes.
It was so wonderful.
Yes. Oh, Michael, wow.
Oh, it was so great. He was just fantastic.
Yes.
Do you ever remember feeling shame about something you wore? And have you ever
Yes.
been motivated to disguise yourself with clothes?
I think it's a sort of two-pronged answer. The shame that I felt on one Easter, we would go, my brother and I would go to our grandmother's with my sister who was closest to me in age. And I remember feeling very put together except for my shoes. That my shoes were not as beautiful as the rest of the outfit, that they were scuffed old shoes. And I remember feeling enormous shame and anger about not having a complete look.
Mm.
And that was one instance. And the other instance of trying to hide, I don't remember trying to hide clothing. I remember trying to hide a magazine, Playgirl, and it had a pictorial on Jim Brown. And I remember taking it from my cousin's room. It was in a very large house. And I remember staring and then having to put it under the bathtub because I didn't have time to return it to her room. So I don't know if that has anything to do with clothing, but it had a lot to do with Jim Brown being naked in the magazine.
Oh, God. Because in The Women, you say, my propensity for identifying with women has been the dramatic center of my life. And
Yes.
what does that feel like?
I think it has made me feel two things. I think it's made me feel that I have a community, and then I think it's also made me feel great loneliness because I'm not. I haven't had a life that many women have had, which includes children and those responsibilities. On the other hand, there's great emotional identification with what I would call striving. Striving to make a home, to love friends, love children, and also to do one's work. I think I've had parallel experiences that are not the same, but enough so that the narrative has always enthralled me as being similar. But as I grow older, I know it's not the same, and that the compromises are not the same. And so that's the loneliness part.
Yeah.
That is not the same as a woman's life, but the identification makes me feel comfort at times.
Yeah. Your mother used the term Aunty Man to denote a gay man, and it's kind of a very sympathetic description. It struck me as that, and I wondered, does she ever refer to you as Aunty Man?
I think that one of the things that I think culturally, it's sort of, again, we're going back to this idea of not just one thing, right? So when she's using words like that, she's speaking out of her culture.
Right, yeah.
And then when she's speaking to me, she's speaking to Hilton. So if you have a kind of cultural language, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the language of intimacy.
Yeah.
It's your cultural language. So I think when she's speaking like that, it's out of her culture. And then when she's speaking to Hilton, she's speaking to Hilton.
Yeah. So it's more like a kind of different end of the telescope when she uses that.
It would be tantamount to your father saying something in German. that you don't understand.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's his culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do completely.
And then he's speaking to Bella.
Yeah, he never actually spoke German because he hated it so much
Oh,
because
really?
of what happened. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the only thing we talked a bit about Brecht and things, and I was obsessed with some of the songs.
Yes.
And then that was the only time we communicated. But again, exactly as you said, he was talking to me and he wasn't using a cultural kind of term.
Yes.
So it was suddenly intimate.
Did he feel odd about having an accent?
No, I don't think he never mentioned that. And he probably never noticed. And it was a sort of inflection. It was really nice. I loved it.
Yes.
That kind of European accent, it seemed like.
Yes. Yes.
But then sometimes if he'd be booking a table or something on the saying something on the telephone, and he'd try and do an English R, and it would sound so hilarious, like
so
a
funny.
Child or something.
Yes, yes.
R, like that. And I read when you were young, you'd learn about someone that you found interesting, and then you'd want to dress like them. And I wondered who you chose.
Oh my goodness.
Such a good idea.
It is true. And I just thought of them the other day. There was a newspaper editor of the New York Tribune. This is almost 200 years ago. And I was completely besotted by him. He was a socialist and a vegetarian, and his name was Horace Greeley.
Oh, yes.
And I used to wear cravats. I would style myself to look like Horace Greeley. I don't know what I was thinking, but my imagination was so rich in terms of wanting to connect to other people that I started to dress like them. And you're making me fall in love with my mother again, Bella, because she never said anything about it. And I used to have a desk. She bought me a desk. It was sort of a break front. And there was a desk that came down, and that was my desk. And I remember writing with an ink pot and a
quill.
Oh, almost a quill.
Oh, one of those ink pens.
Yeah,
yes.
You dip it in.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be in the 19th century like Horace Greeley.
Yes.
I was also completely in love with a woman reporter from that period named Nellie Bly. And she went around the world by herself, but it wasn't even in 180 days. It was something like 170 days or something to that effect. And she was, I read this book over and over again, Nellie Bly, Girl Reporter.
Oh, God, that's so good.
I was so in love with the 19th century American spirit. And then I discovered Emerson and Melville and all those great people, but it really began with a poet, Paul Laurence Dunbar, and I used to read to my mother and my brother from his poetry, and then I would be Horace Greeley, and then I would be Nellie Bly, somewhere in there. So these are three people who had an enormous influence on me. I liked the transcendentalists, like Louisa May Alcott's father, Concord, Massachusetts, all of those stories about Americans, the American spirit, striving for something, for some ideal of purity. I was completely in love. But you're making me fall in love with my mother again, because I would have these readings on Sundays reading Paul Laurence Dunbar poetry, and she would make my brother sit, and then she would just sit there and listen.
God, that's
She didn't say, "This feels insane," or or "Why is my child reading poetry aloud?" She was just present for
that's
it.
so wonderful. That's
Yes.
so encouraging, isn't
Yes,
it? Yeah.
very.
The first exhibition you went to as a child was Rauschenberg at
Yes.
MoMA.
Yes.
And you said the docent who talked to you about the work opened the door and made me step out of the closet of my thinking.
Yes.
And she gave me enough information to know my intuition was correct. And I wondered, how would you describe the closet that you were in?
I think that when you're given language, it sets you free. Mm-hmm. I don't think I didn't have any critical language then. I was a teenager. And what the docent gave me was a way of deciphering what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So that if I had the language and the historical context for something, I would be able to see the thing and come out into the light of my thinking. Until then, until you have language or history or context, you are in the dark.
Yeah.
About what something looks like, in terms of what something feels like. You have the feeling, but you don't have any way of self-expression. Mm-hmm. And then when you're given this language, it's like a light goes off.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you're not in the morass of your feelings, but you're in the light of critical inquiry.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I just remembered who was in your shoot, by the way. It was Stella.
No. Stella Tennant.
Mm-hmm. And she had on a white shirt and a black tie, and her hand was resting on something, and the nails were chipped a little bit, varnish.
Was that the Stephen Meisel shoot? We're going all over the place.
It was in Vogue.
Yes. It was styled by Izzy Blow.
There was another one that Camilla did then after that. Mm. But Isabella Blow did do it, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yes.
Because I remember she said, "Darling, theme is christening dresses. Can you make a christening dress?" So I said, okay. And then I made this dress that had a sort of white Peter Pan collar and that I could imagine vaguely might have, it wasn't a christening dress. And then the whole theme changed, but that's what I'd made.
Yes.
And it was incredible.
I tried for a little bit of time I wanted to make a documentary about Isabella Blow. I didn't know her, but then it was kind of preempted by this film that's coming out.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what that will be like.
Me too.
God, you would have done a great documentary about her.
Yes.
She was amazing.
Yes.
And do you think growing up in a matriarchal family plays havoc with our idea of men and their power?
That's a great question. I think growing up in a matriarchal society makes you suspicious of power because you see how power works on actual bodies and people, that it's not an abstraction, that power can misshape people.
Yeah.
Or shut them out of things or deny them things that they should have, like information about how to make your life better or what schools to send your children to. So I think it's growing up in a matriarchal society for sure has influenced my skepticism about power. Absolutely.
And you're a critic, and you speak a lot about the value of love. And how do the criticism and the love go together?
I think criticism and love should go together. Because how do we know that if we're getting any better if there's not a loving person to tell us that we're getting better or worse, or to protect us from our worst instincts? I think the criticism, when I was writing theater criticism in particular, I was trying to do something that was beyond a yes or no vote. I was trying to enter into the world of the production and tell the artist what I felt and saw, and in a way that was not a mamby-pamby supportive way, but a way to bolster the production.
Yeah.
So that was critical love. I think that a lot of critics stand outside of the enterprise at too great a distance. I think part of what makes regular reviewing so exhausting, for me anyway, is this, or my tendency to, again, it goes back to the Arbus quote of shaping my body to fit the production, you know, and what they were trying to do. So sometimes if I felt it didn't have enough fingers or enough of an arm, it was what my body responded to. And it was my job to find the language for what was missing. So this goes back to the Rauschenberg docent story of someone giving me language to articulate the feeling. I think criticism is a great way of understanding the power of language, but also the deep mystery of it, that you can't capture something so fleeting as a performance, but you can capture the experience of feeling for 3 hours.
And when you have that feeling, where does it occur in your body, and how does it travel up into your language?
That's a great question. I think it begins in the pit of the stomach. But I think it depends. I think that if it's a bad production or a bad book or poem or piece of clothing, you can feel it almost sort of like sort of sour resin in the soul. But when it's something that is going to lift you up and free you, you feel it immediately in your heart and your head. It's almost sort of a feeling of being almost slightly shy around it, embarrassed, stripped a little bit bare. Blushing. It's a blushing relationship to the truth.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's sometimes when I think about or I feel it, and it's almost like it goes into a color scheme in my system.
Yes.
It's kind of the discomfort is one way, but I find if I can just allow it to kind of go around a bit, then I can get the thought that I can get the idea that it's kind of suggesting to me, rather than just a panic from the feeling.
Yes. Yes. I think that's certainly a viable thing.
You said about your mother, I was like her weirdness realized. And what did that look like, literally? What was the look that connected you both?
I think given the context of that culture, I think it was our kindness. I think it was a very aberrant thing in that world, that sort of West Indian world that my mother grew up in, and there was a premium on a kind of teasing or distance. And my mother didn't do that to people. She didn't other people.
Yeah.
And so this cultural othering was something that I don't think that she was comfortable with, and it wasn't certainly something that I was comfortable with. Being a queer kid, you're carrying secrets, and when a culture is othering, you're so afraid of being found out. And I think that my kindness and sensitivity was something that my mother had. And I think that that was the weirdness of us in that culture.
Right. Gosh, that's so remarkable, because all it takes is a mismatch, and
Yes.
then it's just terrifying, really, isn't it?
Yes.
To be stranded.
Yes.
God, how amazing. She sounds so
Oh,
marvelous,
you would have
your
loved
mother.
her.
She sounds amazing.
Yes.
Because you also talk brilliantly about clothes worn by women. And you said, my sister wore pencil skirts to play handball.
She did.
And it's so vivid. And
Yes.
do you have a favorite garment you like to see a girl wearing?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm always a sucker for fringe because my mother had fringe. I'm also always very susceptible to really good men's shoes on women. I'm also very susceptible to a pleated skirt and Peter Pan collars, a tie, a jacket that gives you a kind of, a jacket that gives you a kind of misshapen look.
Misshapen?
Yes, I don't necessarily want the torso to look up and down. I like it when there's a little bit of an errant feeling. I also love a uniform. School uniforms. I wish I was straight sometimes, because then there's lots of naughty schoolgirl porn.
Yes.
But it doesn't appeal to me. I sort of like it in the world.
It's charming, isn't it?
It is. It's and it's also because it was West Indian culture. There were lots of things borrowed from the UK in terms of fashion. So I had an Eton cap. I had a Chesterfield. I'm very fond of those objects in fashion.
Yeah. No, I bet you'd look great in an Eden cap.
Yes. I'll try to find the photo for you.
Yes. And the fashion world is very aware of you. And do you have any obsessions about fashion on top of the ones you've just described?
But
like fashion.
I like that it keeps going on, and that even if you're not directly involved, there are always wonderful legions of young people who are out there reinventing things, making new stories, new scenarios out of, self-styling. There was a woman I saw in the New York Times. It was so breathtaking. And it was just her makeup. And then there was, there's you or Comme des Garçons or people who've been at it, but who get refreshed by these new storytellers. So to me, it's really been such a wonderful continuum, and I really do love looking.
Yeah. Well, we like you too. You
Oh,
get it. You see us, and that's really something.
yes.
In in all the ways you've described, you bring new language to fashion, and it's something that is strangely absent. And
Yes, I think Bella, I think that that's what happened with when magazines, sadly, like the language went. Yeah.
it's just that sort of the language stays the same, so people forget to look for other things when there's so much.
Yes.
And but not everybody.
Yes.
And if you fancy someone and don't like what they're wearing, does it kill your attraction?
Oh my gosh. I have it's perverse, but I just kind of want to style them.
That's great.
I sort of love an awkwardness. You see it a lot in Eastern Europe, right? Where the guys are in these sort of Sergio Valenti jeans
Yeah.
and a big sweatshirt with a big gold chain. And I think it's adorable. And I just want to get them out of all those things, put them in a nice tunic and a jacket. I think the erotic part of it is undressing them to dress them.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very satisfying, isn't it?
Yes,
When
it
someone
is.
just allows you in. I remember having this boyfriend who wore such appalling thing. I mean, really sort of shockingly, like the internal system went completely mad.
Yes.
And and then when I suggested things, he was really resistant, and it made it slightly better that it wasn't just utter kind of sort of terrible heat-seeking missile, that he had some sort of feeling of pride about these awful things he'd chosen, but they were still, there was like almost an allergic reaction that I had to get over.
That's so funny.
And I gradually did a bit of styling.
It's good. And I think that I would feel more put off if I didn't like their art.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's the thing that you can't change.
No, it's true.
And, if they were terrible writers or something. And,
Yeah.
I mean, how do we cope?
I know.
You walk into their studio and say, yuck, every day.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that except you have to
No.
leave. You can't.
No.
There's nothing you can crush
Yes.
to tolerate, to make it okay.
That's right.
There's no future.
That's right.
And you were famously friends with Prince.
Oh, well, I mean, friends is too strong a word, but he was someone that I had a few days experience with when I was trying to write about him for the New Yorker. And what a beauty,
Yeah.
Just an extraordinary kind of head. Something marvelous washed up from another planet onto our shores. And I don't know how much experience you've had with rock people, but like actors, they don't actually know what they look like.
I'd never thought of it like that.
So they wear strange combinations of things. But I think that one of the reasons that they're so powerful as performers is that they're completely porous to the idea and reality of the audience telling them what they look like. I think that people like you or myself have a fairly good idea of who we are when we walk out on a stage to give a talk or whatever. But I think that the performer is such a fascinating creature because they actually don't have that sense. They have a sense of wanting to be loved and appreciated, but they don't really have a great sense of who they are. So he was the head of the whole gestalt. And at the same time, you felt this incredible tininess, like a child, waiting to be told what to feel or think.
God, extraordinary.
Yes.
Because you wrote that he'd said the males are, you asked him about journalists, and he said, the males are not so nice to me, not as nice as the females.
Yes.
And after you asked him why, he said, afraid of their feminine side, I guess.
Yes.
And I wondered what you thought he meant by the feminine side of men.
Because he was such an admixture of straight, gay, queer, he was just a kind of incredible mixture of all those things. You would have to tap into your own feminine, I'm talking about male journalists.
Yeah.
You would have to tap into your own feminine side to be really a feminist.
Yeah.
Which is what Prince was, I feel, which is to say humanist. And so I don't think that you could really sort of understand him if you were writing a profile or an in-depth piece about his music, not go there in your own soul.
Yeah.
In terms of saying I'm an amalgamation of all these things. And you couldn't, if you were just going to approach him as a sort of male journalist, you were only going to get one side of the story.
Yeah.
And you were going to be frustrated by the other parts of the story that were distinctly woman identified, for want of a better term. You had to open your whole soul to that work in this person because he had done that. He could imagine himself as many different characters, you know?
Yeah.
So you couldn't just be writing a review that didn't mention all those worlds that he contained.
Because there's that song where he says, would you come and tell me everything?
Oh, if I was your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Amazing, no?
If someone had hurt you, even if that person was me.
Yes.
Which that's exactly as you described, that he understood everything from every point of view.
Yes.
So compelling and so seductive as well.
Yes. I think there was also a lyric, it's such a beautiful, if I was your one and only friend, would you come to me?
Yes.
If somebody hurt you, even if that somebody was me.
Yeah.
Amazing, no?
Yeah, just so touching. And in that piece that you wrote, you described this thing that Jamie Foxx said about
yes.
Don't look in his eyes. And
Yeah.
it was so, so good.
Oh my God, Bella, you would have given up fashion neuroses and gone off with
I
Prince.
would have so done that.
He was so beautiful.
Oh.
He just looked like a beautiful turtle. He just had this huge head and this little body. And what an amazing creature, huh?
Yeah. He really affected everything and changed the world. He was so remarkable.
Yeah, yes.
And who writes your favorite lyrics apart from Prince?
I used to be a long time ago. Elvis Costello was incredible.
Gosh.
I think Hal David, working with Burt Bacharach, wrote the most incredible lyrics. They were like philosophy to me.
Wow.
A chair is still a chair.
Oh God, yeah, I know that one sung by Sugar Minott.
Yes.
Yeah.
A chair is still a chair, even when there's no one sitting there.
in there.
But a
house is
not a home. And then also,
so good. a room is just a room and a house is not a
Yes,
home.
they were mind-blowing songs for a kid to hear. And then of course Elvis wrote that beautiful song with Burt Bacharach, God Give Me Strength. Do you know that song?
No,
Extraordinary.
I must listen.
Yes.
And do you remember the first thing you read, the first book you read that sort of was like a lightning bolt in terms of...
Yes. It was a biography of Eleanor Roosevelt.
Really?
Yes. And she was such a beautiful person. I loved reading about the Roosevelts. For some reason, I was very interested in their story. I think must have been redolent of my parents in some way.
Yeah.
Because they were together and not together.
Really?
My father lived with his mother.
Right.
My mother lived with us, but they were in constant communication. And I think Eleanor Roosevelt's goodness, my father was very handsome. So there were just loads of parallels in terms of unconventional relationships.
Yeah.
That was something that I understood.
I remember reading Jack Kerouac when I was 15.
Yes.
And thinking, God, I had no idea that there was all this language or you could use it like this. And then writing an essay for my English class and getting an A. And I mean, It was sort of incredibly mawkish and everything. So I was just copying all this kind of free flow. But it was like a key to something. And
Yes. Were you back in England then, or?
yeah, I lived in England most of the time. We lived in Morocco when I was 6 and came back when I was 8.
Okay.
So.
And what part of London were you in?
Well, when we came back from Morocco, we moved to East Sussex. My mother wanted us to go to the Steiner School, so she looked for somewhere for us to live. And then, in that time, I went travelling around England with these upper-class hippies in gypsy caravans with horses and stuff, which sounds like very disorganized, but actually it was very ordered because the person who looked after me was the person who I loved so much. She was called Penny Cuthbertson, and even though we were, going around in these caravans and all this stuff, and I had a regular, what you were saying about children loving predictability. I had sort of a regularity to my lunchtime and bedtime, and there was like this little cupboard on the back of the horse-drawn cart that had food in, like the pantry, and we had Jaffa cakes and something called sandwich spread, which I was completely obsessed with. So I was really happy. And then when we went to the Steiner School, my mother didn't have the money to pay the fees, but she worked in the kitchens. And I don't know why she was so keen on this place, but we went there, lived there, and then stayed there until I was 15.
And did you leave home then, or?
I left home then, yeah. And I moved to London. And, yeah.
How were you supporting yourself?
Well, I went to college for a bit. And then I started working in seditionaries for Vivienne Westwood.
Yes, that's right.
And I kind of worked there was this cafe in Edgware Road called the Regent Cafe that served ice cream, and it was sort of American diner style. So I worked there a bit. I kind of lived a bit hand to mouth.
Was your father helpful? Or
yeah.
Did he have no money at that point?
No, he had money, and I started sitting for him then too.
Yes.
So I would earn a little bit of cash from that, and I started getting to know him like that.
Yes.
So I made my life work around being free for him, and it was a wonderful beginning of our
relationship.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of men don't understand children, and they feel more connected to their children when the children have language.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the case, or?
Well, my mother said we always got on, and he did a painting of me when I was a baby, 2 actually. So I felt like he was well disposed to me from the start, which is such a nice feeling.
Yes.
And then he did this wonderful thing, which I didn't realize was wonderful at the time. When I was 11, he would ring up. We lived in a house where they had a telephone, and he'd ring up, and very quickly we didn't have anything to say to each other because I didn't really know how to talk to him or what would interest him or entertain him. So we would just stay on the phone in silence, and I'd be thinking, why can't I think of something interesting to tell him?
Wow.
And he just stayed on the phone. And then years later, I thought, didn't matter that we didn't say anything.
It
that
doesn't.
It was just this kind of, this to and fro in silence.
And breathing.
Yeah. And I appreciated that so much, and it gave me force, it gave me power, and I was incredibly unhappy around that time.
Yes.
And it was somehow his way of,
letting you be.
Yeah, and holding on to me.
Yes, and that you didn't have to be on in any way.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And you wrote this thing,
yes.
The silence that I was taught as a means of survival no longer fits me now. And I wondered what makes you immediately vocal now.
Cruelty, if I see it or feel it. Mm-hmm. Love, if I see it or feel it.
Yeah. And you champion, and you also hold a high bar for women. And you've created exhibitions for Joan Didion and for Jean Rhys.
Yes.
And you also shine a light on a friend of mine, the painter Celia Paul.
Oh, yes.
And I wondered, what do you want for women? And you clearly want us to be our best selves.
What do women want? What does Hilton want?
Yes.
I think, Bella, when you grow up, as I have, and you see brilliant people who are not given an opportunity because this goes back to not getting the information or knowing something. It makes you very fierce about making sure that people have get their due. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm very fierce about women having their say or getting their due because I saw too many not. Mm-hmm. And I never want to replicate that in my lifetime as an adult male. I don't want to contribute to a woman's silence. I want to contribute to her speaking.
Oh, that's really great. Thank you, Hilton. And thank you so much for being on Fashion Neurosis.
Oh my gosh, it's been what a wonderful session.
I've been looking forward to this for ages.
Thank you.